Good morning, I'm Chris Hellman with the National Priorities Project, and the topic for today's budget brief is the Pentagon's new blueprint. Recently, the Pentagon released its new strategic vision for how it would respond to threats to U.S. national security over the next decade. Meanwhile, Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta has been tasked with coming up with $450 billion in savings over the next 10 years. While the details of the new strategic vision are still somewhat vague, some of the general themes are out there, and these are what they are. First, the military over the coming years is going to become increasingly smaller and more agile. Secondly, coming out of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, both the Army and the Marine Corps will be cut in size. Thirdly, our focus will shift from one based on presence, i.e. the stationing of U.S. troops around the world, to reach, our ability to respond to threats anywhere in the world as they occur. And finally, the Pentagon's strategic focus will continue to shift towards the Pacific in response to China's growing economic and military power. So, the question for us budget wonks is, does smaller actually mean less expensive? Well, that depends on who you ask. If it's Secretary of Defense Panetta, he says anything in addition to that $450 billion he already has to come up with would be disastrous. President Obama, when asked a similar question, said that while it will continue to grow more slowly, the Pentagon's budget will in fact continue to grow. So let's talk about these additional cuts if they were to happen. One of the things to keep in mind is that the Pentagon's cuts, even in addition to the $450 billion, would total only about 4% of their current military budget. This is in contrast to the 43% growth we've seen in the military's budget over the last 10 years. Secondly, any potential cuts to the military would be much smaller than those that are proposed to programs that are competing for the same dollars. And these are things like education, energy research, and job training. So the impact on these programs would be much greater than it would be on the Pentagon. These are just some of the details we have about the Pentagon's future budget, more of which will be coming out in the coming weeks as the administration releases its budget proposal for fiscal year 2013 in February. So please stay tuned.